You either die a hero.
You live long enough to become a cash grab case of reuse.
Hello my friends and welcome back to Player Display. So today I have two different Batman figures from Todd McFarlane. I'm only going to do that once per episode, so you don't have to worry about that for the rest of this review, don't you worry. So over here on the left I have the standard release of the Two-Face in Batman Disguise, I believe is the best way to call him. And then over here on the right we have the super special gold label Target exclusive Jokerized Batman from The Dark Knight Returns. Ooh. So the reason why I'm reviewing these two figures together, even though one is kind of standard release and then one is exclusive, is both of them kind of raise up some talking points I really want to discuss. Mainly about McFarlane, but it really kind of spills out to all the other lines that we've been talking about on this channel. So I'm going to review these guys rather quickly because it is mostly reuse and repaint overall, and then we're going to have a little bit of a discussion, not too long. Just get you the figures, here they are, this is what they do, and then we're going to have a little bit of a rant. You know, that's kind of what we do best on this channel. Let's go ahead and start with Two of a Kind being within Two-Face over here. So here is a rather boring box for Two-Face, which we can pretty much expect with almost every McFarlane release. I'm not too sure why Two-Face needed a Batman outfit. That was a very brief arc in the comics, but regardless, I saw this figure, I kind of passed on him, and then after a while I was like, I don't know, this figure's a little bit weird, so I have to get it, obviously. So I saw him floating around Amazon. He was like discounted and stock price, discounted stock price, and then finally I just decided to pin down the roulette wheel. I'm like, alright, fine, let's just get him in the collection. And I finally got him in. He's an interesting figure. Some pros, some cons, we'll get into that. But anyways, let's start off with this really amazing box art that we got on the back. Unfortunately, with the trading card, I guess I could pull it out now, the artwork on the back of the box is cut short on the card itself. As you could see, Batman is no longer visible at the bottom. But when you turn it to the back, you do get a bio, unfortunately just of Two-Face. It doesn't go into the origins of this particular Batsuit at all, which is kind of unfortunate and a little bit lazy. I'm not going to try not to smack Todd in the face too much as we go through this. Off to the bottom, you got a Star Wars opening crawl, along with your usual friends.
You Canada!
C. Green Arrow.
And of course, wait a minute, where's Sad Onions? How are we going to know that children can't eat this? Now here is our Two-Face Batman with all his default components from as soon as he was unboxed, which was just a few minutes ago, and he's definitely an acquired taste of a figure. Firstly, he's reuse of, as far as I can tell, the Hush Batman, and then we also saw the same body recycled for the Vampirized Batman, which was also an exclusive, interestingly enough. And then here we are seeing it again for at least a third time, although I'm pretty convinced we've seen it many more times than that. This time around, what makes this figure succeed is the new head sculpt and the paint job. Obviously, you have it bisected right down the middle between black and red color palette, which is really interesting. One thing I did want to note right off the bat, puns are inevitable for me, I apologize. I have a little bit of this blue wash up at the head sculpt, which we'll come back to in a moment. Then also down here on the torso, which I really, really love, but it does not carry onto the arms or legs of not just the black halves of this figure, but also on the red, it's totally flat. There is no paint whatsoever, aside from the Bat logo, then the utility belt. So it just would have been nice to have not just this blue wash continue onto the black, but have a different color to accent the red. So that makes this figure feel a little bit inconsistent, which is a little bit unfortunate. All that being said, easily the best part of this figure is this really cool, unique head sculpt. Definitely Harvey Dent under there. You could see you've got some flesh that is obviously very, I don't know what you'd call it. It's different in every depiction of him, obviously, but usually some freak accident happens, usually relating to chemicals that screws up half his face, and of course, half his brain, therefore, Two-Face. And also he's a rotten politician. But yeah, I really love the sculpt and the paintwork on this head. Really the thing that I think that would make this so much better is if, again, they did some kind of paintwork on the red portion, but then again, I don't know, maybe this is kind of like the clean half of his personality, then you have the more down and dirty version over here. Actually, I'm just noticing there's a little bit of a red, oh, that was just a little flake of paint. Alright, so that's not a problem. But I really love this half of the head sculpt, and I also like what they did with the difference in the eyes. Over here, it's a lot more traditional Batman. You have kind of the definitive corners up here at the eyebrows, and over here it just gets very muddied up and scuffled, as is the face concealed underneath. And the eyes themselves, over here it's a little more slanted, here it's a little bit more wide. That's something I've always wondered about a lot of comic book characters that have eyes that are just completely white, like Deadpool in particular. Like, how do those masks work? Are they just wearing contact lenses? Also, the mouth is very well detailed. I really love the teeth that they did. And I guess when you get a little bit too close, you can kind of see the printing that they did on the eyes as well. But I mean, push it out just a tad and it kind of fades away. And he's supposed to look a little gnarly, so it's really not a big deal for me. And turning it around, it kind of continues with just that split black and white motif. No paint choices or variations over there. Going down, not a whole lot else to discuss. Again, we've seen this body before on the Vaporized Batman, the Hush variant as well. But yeah, you still get that split in half red and black motif going throughout. Again, you got the blue over here on the black side. You have the same thing going on the Bat logo as well. Also over here on the solid cape, which I'm kind of wishy-washy on. I never loved solid capes, although it looks like they are rolling them out with some soft goods releases that we've been seeing lately with Catman, who I'm not planning to get currently. That can change at any moment. I have no goddamn idea. But also with the very special and elusive Batman 6-pack, which I do have on pre-order. So stay tuned for that. More batshit craziness on this channel, absolutely. You also have the gauntlets, which also look very good. Again, it's kind of just the same thing that we've been seeing. Unfortunately, on the black one, though, there is a lot of warping going on, so I'm going to need to take some hot water there. And one thing, I know we're not at articulation just yet, but there is a double joint at this elbow, which is good. I mean, here's how far this one goes. It goes as far up as it probably needs to. But for this one here, only one moves. The other one is totally frozen, so I'm going to need to drop this guy in some boiling water, unfortunately. So I feel like a line, even as new as McFarlane, should have been past that at this point, so that kind of sucks. But anyways, regardless, going down, we got the utility belt as well. Also got his pants. He also got his boots. Boots are boots. I say it again. Now let's have ourselves a look at the accessories, which are actually improving with the latest releases. I'm noticing that there are now a lot more interchangeable hands, which is greatly appreciated. And fortunately, Two-Face Batman is not an exception. So out of the box, he comes with a black fist and then a red open hand, which has his, of course, coin, which is his trademark accessory. Now this is comic accurate, so I can't really knock this, although I do feel like it is kind of lame, especially when we always see that silver dollar, I believe it's called. It's been many years since my coin collecting days, but that particular coin, which I actually do have, I have the real version of it, is not on this particular figure. I think that would have been kind of cool to see. Just a little bit of printing or something in there would be kind of cool. Here it's kind of just a yellow dot. And of course you have your interchangeable options being a red fist and then a black open. And then you also have some trigger fingers. So let's go ahead and do some hand swaps. Let's start with the black over here. I actually haven't tried this yet. Ooh, it's really tight. I don't love that. Okay, there we go. Yeah, just had to hit the sweet spot, kind of break up the pain a little bit, because obviously, I think one of McFarlane's weaknesses is whenever there's a big gloss coat going on, they're a little bit heavy-handed. So there's a little bit too much paint, and sometimes it could take a little bit of effort or sometimes heat in order to actually get the hands on, at least for the first time. But there we go. I guess just do it once and you should be fine from there on out. Let's remove the coin hand as well, and I don't know, let's swap that out for a fist, just so we have a little bit of asymmetry, as if this guy didn't have enough of that already. This one's not it's kind of not going on all the way straight up, so yeah, you know what? I'm just going to drop everything here into hot water. I think this guy needs it. Obviously, as we know, Warner Brothers, they have a no-gun policy when it comes to these figures, but McFarlane does not. So, of course, they've had several weapon packs. As for the version 2 one, they came with 2 really awesome revolvers, so let's go for the longer one, and let's see if I can get this into his hand, because that is, of course, one of his trademark weapons, I feel. Let's see. Actually, yeah, it is a pretty nice fit. It doesn't look too out of place. Slot the trigger finger in there. There we go. All right. I'm probably going to give this some custom paint and give it a silver. I think that would look a lot better, too. But if you're one of 7 people on the planet whose Batman experience started out with the Lego Batman video game way back when, then you know that Two-Face is supposed to have 2 revolvers, not just 1. So I also gave him the snub nose in his left hand. I struggled a little bit more to get it in there. That was because the hand was still a little bit tight. Again, warm water, stretch it out a little bit. It should be okay, though he shouldn't have to make that extra step. But regardless, with 2 guns, he looks pretty badass. I suppose we'll keep Two-Face as a gunslinger as we go through articulation rather quickly because, again, you've seen this body before, but we have some tilt here in this brand new head sculpt. Got a lot forward. That's amazing, actually, but then there's no back, so for every great point of a McFarlane figure, there's usually something that irks me just a smidgen, so that's unfortunate, but swivel is actually great, so you can still have him getting a lot of attitude, kind of tilting down. That already gives him a lot more presence, I think. Arms swivel around, they go to their outs or ins, they got that weird butterfly thing. On some figures, it's a lot more effective than others. On this one, it doesn't make a whole lot of difference at all. Again, swivel at here above the bicep, but we got another frozen joint down here on the double jointed elbows, but on this arm, it's fine, so that's not an issue. Traditional, see, there we go, the hand's kind of popping out again, but yeah, it's the traditional McFarlane wrists where you've got the swing around, in, out, or up and down wrist joint, so that's always nice, but again, gotta warm that up. Torso, not at all forward, but you got a lot back, kind of similar to the head, just inverted. A little bit of tilt, and you got some swivel, although it kind of bends upward a little bit, and the sculpt just feels a tad awkward, especially since now we have the color consistency going on between the red and the black, so it definitely breaks up a little bit of that design. Legs, out, back in, up, and not a ton back. Knees, double joint, they actually both move on this figure, nothing frozen. Going back on the ankle, that much. Going forward, toe joint, which I always forget about and don't really care about much myself, but it is there for those of you who prefer it. Got a 360 swivel, and you also have your usual rocker. So this figure, I love him aesthetically, but as he is out of the box, average. Gotta bring some heat to him, and I think I'll love him a lot more. Oh, and he also comes with the figure stand. With that. Now let's move on to our Jokerized Batman as he appeared in The Dark Knight Returns, or rather did not, because this is just a cheap repaint, many would argue. Again, we'll talk about that a little bit later. I was in transit, so the blue insert that is almost always in a McFarlane box is no longer here, but you could just take my word that it was in there and totally unchanged. It's got the McFarlane Gold label logo up there, and then as for the rest of it, it's pretty much as you expect, except it has some Joker graffiti overall to remind you of how edgy and special and exclusive this figure is. Ooh. This was, as I said, a Target exclusive. I saw 2 on the racks towards the back where they have all the collector's items. He was not on my radar at all. It was total impulse buy. But anyways, on the back, you have that artwork, which I suspect was with the default Dark Knight Returns variant of Batman, but now, of course, tagged up by the Joker, or perhaps one of his cronies. The actual trading card is not exempt from that rule, as you have more green and purple highlighting everything. You got his name at the bottom, and on the back you have more of that Joker motif, although the bio is totally unchanged, as it is for most of characters who are recycled and reused throughout the McFarlane waves. But if you thought we were done with overglorified cardboard, then hold on to your pants, because we have 4 more cards over here. Because there are many different Jokerized figures that they've been releasing. Again, we'll talk about the ethics of that a little bit later, but each one of them comes with, I believe, 4 standard, bridge cards. What's the actual name of just basic playing cards? Is there a real term for that? Let me know, because I have no idea. But all of them continue with the Joker motif, which I actually really love. I think these are very fun. I don't think I'm going to go out of my way to get all the Jokerized figures, because this is really the only one that I really found appealing. On the back, I actually don't like the backs that they all have. I find that kind of bland and meaningless. Like, I guess you can kind of make out, like, a roulette wheel here, like kind of a big top, sort of, but I feel like it just doesn't commit to the design that the rest of them have. So I find it really bland over here, but obviously this is the main focus. And unfortunately for cards, especially if you hate them, we're not done, because it also comes with this card stand, which I actually love, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like if you display all your DC figures, all you need is one of these, put it in the center or in the corner or something like that, and then you got like a big old DC logo, and then it kind of just tells you what the shelf is all about. But pretty much you could take any card from either this figure or just any McFarlane figure, really, and then grab it, slide it down the top, and put it right down, and there we go. We've actually seen these in the past, although this is my first one. I've never had one of these card displaying podiums, I suppose, before, but I think we've seen it in gold, we've seen it in black, but of course, since this is Jokerized, you get all the green and the red, and no purple, oddly enough, but yeah, there you go. Take it for what it is. Here is our Jokerized Batman, and a lot of people write these off as just being cheap repaints, and while, yes, that is true, I will say, I kind of love this one. I saw this on the shelf, and I'm like, oh great, one of these little shitters again. But then I kind of looked at it, felt it around, like tilted the box in the light, and I'm kind of like, I kind of love this thing. Because in my eyes, I've actually never watched The Dark Knight Returns, please don't crucify me. Look at this figure, and this is like an Elseworlds Batman where he kind of ingested a little bit too much Batman toxins, and then that makes him very swole and beefed up like the Batman and Robin Bane kind of. So for me, this is just like a Batman who has OD'd in Ace Chemicals or something like that. So for me, this kind of just works as his own standalone character. The other repaints, I can't even be bothered, but this one, it just scratches an itch. It works for me. It's good. There is no new sculpt on this figure whatsoever. It is all complete reuse from the Dark Knight Returns figure, but I really do love what they did with the paint. I feel like they could have gone a little bit further, but I do kind of like how balanced it is. So the head sculpt, again, it's kind of the same sculpt everything here is, but you do have a new makeup paint job on the face. So of course you've got the red smile, which kind of disappears on the purple there, so maybe I'll go ahead and repaint that so it's just a little bit more pronounced, and you can have that smile overcasting kind of that snarl Batman has, which is another benefit. I like how he's got exposed teeth, kind of helps that he's kind of like a berserker Jokerized Batman, right? You also have these really nice green eyes, which I feel like would work really well in a blacklight or something like that. I'm going to have to give that a try. And that also continues down to the cape, where you also have some nice green splatter of acid or toxic waste or whatever, and I really love that. Part of me was considering getting like a soft goods cape, but now that I see that it's got such nice paintwork at the bottom, I might keep it as is. Like, honestly, it can go either way with whether it be a solid or a soft goods cape. It's case-by-case basis for me, but in this case, I'm good with it. It looks cool. You have a very Batfleck-looking logo. Now, in purple, this is one of those areas where I feel like they could have gotten a little bit more creative. Like, what if they got, like, a red smile, then put it across this logo, and that's it, and then some eyes with blacked out X's or something? Like, might want to repaint this guy. I'll have to think about that, because I do like him a lot as is. You also have a whole bunch of ha-ha-ha's everywhere, because as edgy as the Joker is, it's kind of his thing. You got that over here on the abs. You also have that here down on the leg, then down here on a boot. And then as for the gloves, you have more of that purple, body glove, standard gray, Batman diaper in black. As for the boots, boots are boots. I say it again. But this time in black and with some ha's. Got to mention the utility belt, which is actually one of my favorite parts of this figure. It's not painted at all, it's just molded in this color, but I really just love the stark green that kind of balances out this figure. Like, this is a repaint that I feel like they could have totally messed up. It would have looked totally stupid. But here, I don't know, it kind of works for me. I like the even distribution between the purple and the green and the black going throughout this. To contrast the gray. The accessories are also unchanged, and I forgot to mention I do not have the original Dark Knight Returns Batman to compare him with, but that one also came with two fists, this time of course in purple. And then we also have two gripping hands, which are extremely tight. Unfortunately, this body mold is quite dated, as is its accessories, so you don't have a whole ton of options if you want to accessory swap between different fingers. But for these particular hands, they are meant to go with this bat lasso, not really a grappling hook, it's more so a lasso. A batso, a lass bat, Sound off in the comments, which one do you prefer? As I'm going to swap the hands, this is kind of the problem I was highlighting with these McFarlane figures. When they get a little heavy-handed with paint, you see that is purple paint on a black peg, and that is sometimes what freezes up articulation completely, and no hot water will help it. But in this case, fortunately, I'm fine. The hands switch out, no problem. It's just a matter of luck at this point. So that's something McFarlane definitely needs to figure out, I think. Just the overdoing it with the paint. Like, see, even on this one, it's a little bit squeaky. And you don't want squeaky. You want things that are nice and swift. You want quiet joints that move okay. And unfortunately, it's not really the case with this guy. But I've played around with the lasso a little bit. Let's see how they go about getting it in. Honestly, I don't prefer this as much. I might just wind up getting a wire or something, then attaching it to the bat hook on the end. But I really have a tough time flexing these fingers open to get that cord in there. So you know what? I'm not even going to bother. I guess you can have that kind of resting over there while you have the main loop of the batso in this hand over here. So I guess you can kind of fake it. But again, hot water. I'm going to try and be sure that's the last time I say that for the rest of this review. And the last thing he has, I totally forgot to mention this, he has a unique base, which is awesome. I love it. I think it's fantastic. But it also makes me even more disappointed that all the other DC stands that we've been seeing are exactly the same. Like, this is a treatment reserved specifically for very random gold labels. Like, they've done so many gold labels at this point, they just no longer have their meaning. So, again, we'll talk about that. Let's move on to articulation, alright? Again, all reuse, no new parts, so we got not much down, fair amount back. It would have been nice to have a lot more, because again, I picture him as more like a hulking Joker Batman, just charging forward, like doing a headbutt or something, but that's alright. Fair amount of swivel. Got all the way around for the arms, although the solid cape kind of makes it fork out a little bit. You have that much out, actually past 90 without rotating the shoulder, which is great. A little bit of a butterfly, but kind of similarly to the Two-Face Batman, doesn't do a whole lot for it. A little bit more, actually, but again, kind of stopped by the cape. No bicep swivel. This is an older body mold, but you do have a swivel in the elbow to compensate for that. But speaking of the elbow, it is single jointed, so it only hits 90, doesn't go further than that. And another complaint I have is the sculpt of the wrists, which are really awkward, as you can see. That's not warping, that's just how it's sculpted. So it takes a little bit of finessing to get the wrist aligned, if you get what I'm meaning. Like, you can even see here, I kind of have that joint kind of off center. It's not perfectly going straight down along with the rest of the arm, because that's the only way to get the hand kind of, you know, looking like it's anatomically proper with the rest of the gauntlet or the glove over here. So that's kind of unfortunate, but as for that joint, same usual, up, down, left, right, whatever it is you prefer. Torso, nothing at all down. I got not really any tilt, not a lot back at all, but you also do have some swivel. It's really just a swivel joint. I can't see you doing much more than that. Although the legs are actually pretty good. They can kick that far out, not a ton, but you got a good amount forward and a good amount back. Not too bad considering the bulk of this figure. He does have a thigh swivel though, which a lot of figures lack. So I don't know. There's no consistency with these figures. Like, one figure gets upgraded, one gets downgraded. I don't know what the name of the game is at this point. Knees are double jointed. They do stop at a certain point because of the calf and the thigh, but you do have the usual ankle articulation going that far down, that far up, got a toe, and then you also have some rocker. It's not the best, but it's there, so there you go. And just to do some very quick and basic size comparisons, because again, we've technically seen both of these figures before, we have the gold label Dark Flash, the Death in the Family Joker, and the Star Wars The Black Series Muck Muck, because, you know, welcome to the channel, right?
Definitely on the wrong side of the neighborhood. Oh, hey there.
Oh, wait till you get a load of me.
Just because you take off your face, I think that makes you edgy and dangerous?
Maybe not, but stemming up my greatest foe certainly does.
Come on, get monkey smash!
Oh, yeah, I see where that could be a problem.
Alright, time to chat. So firstly, I actually really enjoy both of these figures. I mean, of course, there's some mods I definitely need to do. All the problems I have with them can be fixed in some way. Like, we had some joint stiffness, we had some wrist stiffness, hand stiffness. There's just a lot of stiffness with these figures, but I'm going to drop them in hot water. Again, we shouldn't need to do that, but for me, I'm like, alright, whatever. I'll bust out the pot. I got something else to do, so whatever. Big deal. I could do a little bit of repainting here and there. Maybe I'll give Two-Face a new soft goods cloak or something like that, because I feel like this one's a little bit too big. It might be fun to kind of like bisect, some red, some black, stitch them together, and just see how that works out. So I'm not too bugged by the cape at all. So for me, overall, I like these figures. They're pretty cool. But the little issues that I had with these figures, and the fact that they're reused, retooled, repainted, they kind of further inform what I wanted to talk about today. McFarlane is, as of now, the most controversial figure line that there is. Now, I'm not saying that they're the worst or they're the best or anything. It's just that they definitely do have certain problems and ethical ways of distributing these figures that does kind of highlight a zeitgeist within the action figure hobby, honestly. So I did hear one person say something that Todd McFarlane himself said, and I'm not going to put those words in his mouth, but it is kind of an interesting mantra when it comes to collecting these guys, or any figures really. If you don't like a figure, then don't buy it. I agree with that 100%. If you don't like a figure, if you see a repaint, if you see a reuse, or just something that's a blatant cash grab, like this totally reused Dark Knight Returns Jokerized Batman, skate on by. I mean, it's really that easy. I mean, if you really need help in the process, then check this out. I got a really special tip for you. Like, come a little closer. Like, really, listen. Don't buy it, and you're fine. You save money, you buy something else you want, move on. It's not a problem. Like, I'm sure a lot of people hate the crap out of this figure, but I really like it, and I really do love it, even though I know it's got a few things got to tweak. Big whoop. I know the body's a little dated. Big whoop. I know that it's just a blatant cash grab with some paint apps that could be further amplified to justify its existence. Big whoop. But I'm having fun with it. I'm enjoying it. It may not be a figure for you or for a lot of other people out there, but for some other folks, and for me, this works. I'm happy with them. And also, these are kind of just bonuses. Like, I like how they at least pimp him out with, like, the figure stand. The card stand, excuse me. The figure stand as well. I mean, don't forget that. It's got its unique paint job on there. And you also got some fun little trading cards, whether you want to complete a full deck or not. But it's a fun figure. Now, that brings out a little pocket within that statement of, if you don't want something, don't buy it. Now, what if there's something you do want to buy, but you can't get it? Like, let's say that this figure was something else, something that people have really wanted, like the Michael Keaton Batman or the Nightfall Batman. I know they're both Batman figures, but Batman is what sells in the McFarlane line. Both of those figures I just mentioned, Keaton and Nightfall, both of those have been exclusives. They have been to Amazon in the 6-pack and I believe a Comic-Con exclusively. Those figures are both highly desirable, both very well loved, retooled, repainted, and all that, both very sought after, both figures that people have been really waiting for, and they can't get them because they're exclusives. So I feel like, again, I'm not going to say specifically Todd, because this is kind of just like a mandate people have been thinking about, where when they say things like, don't buy things that you don't want, it kind of falls flat when you consider that there are things that they do want that they can't get. Like, that's another side of Two Faces coin, right? Obviously, why are there exclusives? Why are there gold labels, platinum labels, convention or Disney Parks exclusives or anything like that? It's to bring in more physical foot traffic. But then again, like, when do you expect that just releasing a single figure is going to release, like, a Taylor Swift audience level onslaught of fans bustling into the conventions, right? Say you release a Nightfall Batman or something like that, then you release it as an exclusive at the con, and then in very limited quantities. People buy it out, and then it's gone forever. Unless you go onto the third-party market, where people bought it not for the love of the toys, but simply so they can scalp it and quadruple the price. I shit you not. That's when everybody loses. except the scalpers and the bots that they've been using, right? Like, Todd could be making more money if he produced more Nightfall Batmans that are more accessible, right? Put that figure on the main store. Don't have them sell out so quick because you're in short quantities. Keep making them. I mean, obviously you have no issue recycling base bodies, so just get rid of exclusivity. Like, I don't see what the big issue is there. Like, how much are these cons and Target and Walmart paying these companies to, like, funnel in audiences just to get, like, 1 or 2 super special figures? Like, really, how much is going on in the background that these manufacturers are being paid to just make 1 or 2 super special snowflake figures, right? I just don't see what the balance is. Who pays more? The people who hold these figures to be sold, or the actual goddamn customers that you're directly supplying to? Like, ultimately, my thoughts as a collector who's been collecting for well over a decade, exclusivity is bullshit. There's no logic behind it. It just pisses off fans. It forces them to put in a lot of legwork to get the figures that they want. And, like, I just don't see the logic in a single toy bringing in, like, thousands upon thousands of new guests and customers. I don't get it. Even if it's an online shop or a physical shop, I don't care either way. Exclusivity, it just makes no fucking sense to me. I gotta censor that, sorry. Alright, so with all that out of the way, basically to sum it all up, again, if you have that philosophy, again, get Todd out of the picture, just as a general collecting mantra, if you don't like something, don't buy it. Yes, I agree with that. Whether something's repainted, or a body's being reused, or there's just simply a difference in head sculpt and nothing more, if you don't like it, don't go after it. You're fine. You save some money. But there are going to be some people out there who do like them. I love both of these figures, even though I gotta tweak them a little bit. But then when you make them exclusive, like, again, pretend this is a figure that everybody on the planet wants, that's super sucky. And it doesn't make sense for any party involved. I don't get it. It really just doesn't make any sense to me. This video is not going directly at the Todd McFarlane line, because it's a line that I've come to really appreciate over time. And I'm really looking forward to future releases, especially that Batman 6-pack, which is a whole other discussion. But when they make figures so hard to obtain that they know that people really love, and then they make them in limited quantities, thus making them harder to get, I literally just don't get it. I don't have an answer for that. Why do they do that? Why do they take characters and figures that they know that we've been longing for, in some cases for decades, like, I know I want my Clooney Batman, damn it, and then they make them really hard to get when they finally get on top of it? Why? Why are they doing that? Collecting action figures, it should be nice and cozy and happy. It's the soft spot that we have after a rough day. I know I had one today before recording this video. But then you got people who really want to go after these figures, and then they got to take time out of their day to, like, you know, like, open tabs on their computers, like on the McFarlane shop, BBTS, or, like, I don't know, convention stores or whatever else is out there, and wait for the clock to hit a certain hour so they can hopefully have the chance, just a chance, not even a guarantee, of getting the figures they want. And they can go out like that because there are bots, there are scalpers, and low quantities. And that's just the unholy trinity of action figure collecting. Nothing good comes from exclusivity. I don't see anybody with a smile on their face at the end of that. Best case, if you're going after an exclusive and you can't get it for stock price, you pay out the nose to get it online. You're going to wind up paying a premium to get the figures that you want, and we shouldn't have to do that. It's unfair for us. It's a stupid decision on the manufacturer's part. And as for the shops that are peddling them, take a big one of all of these, you know? Walmart, Target, we know you're there. We just want to get a sofa or a box of cereal. We don't want to go there to get your figures, okay? I don't care what you're paying these manufacturers. Just get out of the way. That's a whole other layer that we as collectors just don't need. I know that we're usually very calm on this channel, but seriously, like, there are aspects about the distribution of figures, exclusivity, and stuff like that that makes me totally livid. Repainting and reuse is usually not one of them, but when it comes down to the money and us having to, you know, break a leg going after these figures, that's just not cool, and it just ruins the hobby. It really does. But that's pretty much all I gotta say. I mean, obviously, there's more to say, but for now, I'm gonna leave it there. As for this review, I enjoy both these figures. I need some help, I'll do that. That's what I do. I got no problem as a customizer, a non-mint in box collector. That's all good by me. Just drop them in some hot water, can warm my hands over it, stretch out a little bit after a long day. That's alright. But again, there's some problems out there. There's some bullshit going on, alright? Just want to get my voice out there. That's my take. So thank you guys so much for watching. Actually, let me know what your objective opinions on these figures are, despite the rant that I went on. Do you like these figures? Do you not mind that there's reuse, or does it just really bug the shit out of you? I mean, I get it. Like, I think one of the main complaints about reuse is that they're not upgraded. Like, over here we have two molds that are very out of date. The hands are very stiff. A joint over here is totally frozen in place. So, yeah, that's a place where I could say, yeah, when they re-release old molds, that's a problem. But the repaints, it's not a big deal for me, and I kind of do like the joints that they have. So for me, I'm good. What do you guys think? Thank you guys so much for watching. I know this was kind of an interesting one, but I don't want to just do straight reviews. I want to add a little bit of a supplement, right? That's about all. So if you enjoyed this review, or a little bit of a discussion there at the end, then please, as per usual, be sure to like, comment,
And subscribe.
Or leave a bad review for your favorite comic book movie on Rotten Tomatoes.
Happy August, everybody. Enjoy the weather if you can. It's been very weird over here in Marlborough, Mass. I'm telling you, it's been like 90 degrees, then 70. I don't know what's going on.
Ice, chill, freeze, ice.
Anyhow, rock on, and I will see you all later. That's pretty much it for the head, although part of me kind of wishes to see a version of this figure which is full on the black version of it that goes on both sides, and that'd be like a really cool, I don't know, like Nightmare Batman or something like that. I don't think they'll ever do it, but that would be something really cool to see, I think. Honestly, as much as I don't care for the other Jokerized figures, I might go out of my way on eBay just to get the rest of the cards. I'm kind of digging these, I won't lie.